Let's see what's next in the tool menu. We have the multi-scatter system, the island tool. Let's try the terrace. So those three ship with foliage as shown here, meaning that you can use the asset either just as a basic shape or if you want to scatter some sea plants on it. For now, I'd like to start with basic shape. As with other assets, I have provided you with some basic controls. The menu offers you to use it as shape with displacement that you can bake once the design is finished. You can have it with some foliage on it and keep the original procedural shape if you want. You can have the different types of sea plant. There, for now, these two major types of sea plants. Maybe this way you're gonna see them better. And moreover, the controls for the foliage of these assets I have embedded in the menu here as well. The difference is that if you decide to make a whole family of these assets, kind of different shapes and different types, and bake them, you're no longer going to have access to the foliage. So for that reason, I have made internal scatter system that you can use to get back the foliage, and actually I've provided those systems with more control and the access for more plants to be scattered if you need. But that's I'm gonna explain this a little bit later. Right now, my decision to develop these tools with a bit of foliage during their procedural stage is that if you have scenes and your major goal is layout or blocking the scenes, you're still gonna have option to scatter some greenery on them and see how the overall scene looks before baking. Here we don't have the corals and the seashells because they need to be loaded in the appropriate sockets. For that reason, I provide you with just two slots of different types of either corals uh, or star or sea stars or seashells, or whatever. You can actually put whatever geometry you want. So let me get back to its initial proxy geo and see what do we have here. So there is a reef type that suggests we might have different type of shape, and yes, we do. But for now, we're gonna start with the shape uh, of its default stage. So we have this height, or maybe we can play a little bit with the controls to see what they offer. It gets really crazy at moments. If we need more of a break to the geometry, we can have more terraces, obviously. This is the terrace seat. We can have those terraces scattered along the height. So I could have this, or maybe something like that. And it's up to your imagination and needs what actually you need for the project. That goes to much more strange and interesting shape itself. Alright. Let me play a little bit more. So of you to see different kind of variations yourself. We have some sort of noises that I decided to apply. And that's basically for the first stage of the terrace. I can have either something like that or something more traditional. It really depends on the type of asset I want to have. Maybe something like that. Maybe a bit different. Position randomness. And once done, you can always go to your displacement option and see how it would look like once being baked. So here we have this small menu once being in the reef section, meaning with displacement, where we can try to either increase or decrease the overall quality of this asset. I know it might look weird or strange, but this is why you need to either experiment a little bit more and play with the preferences. You can always get back to your initial shape and give it a try one more time until you get satisfied. Of course, you could end up with all sort of ideas, strange forms. It's not necessary to follow the original default shape. After all, that was the original idea, developing tool sets like that, so they can give you more of creative freedom. And indeed, as mentioned in the beginning, they do follow some major basic concept, but even though you still have some interesting options to navigate through and see how much you can break things and how much you could have your asset um, to satisfy your needs. As right now I am trying to break the previous original shape, and I am actually kind of heading towards this direction. Someone's going to the reef, and I'm gonna end up with this, which is not necessarily reef structure sort of, but after the bake I still have those interesting and pretty quick shapes to brush and massage a little bit, so I could have something new, something original. I can have this root much thinner or thicker, and kind of having an asset that is different from the one I started from. And actually with this two, I've managed to build all these terraces here. And I've done this relatively quickly, but I had to bake them, of course, so they can be production ready, more optimized and well structuralized. But that here is not bad. If I change the reef type, I'm gonna have totally different result. Of course, I'm gonna have to work with it a little bit. So in order to preserve this one, I'm gonna duplicate it. Yeah, that's better. And after I duplicate it, I can experiment with this other shape as well. Maybe something like this. Sort of. Yeah, it can be either centralized or a little bit with an offset, and I can have some seed. I could keep playing, but you see what the general idea is. And again, I can apply some displacement to it. So if I want to see some foliage, that's still an option. And I have foliage preferences. Even as you can see, I have some animation. It's generic, not CFX animation, just generic animation to move my foliage a little bit, but it's decent enough. And here I have some basic controls. But since I'm working on the displacement geometry currently, I'll be logging. And here you can tweak these elements. Specifically for the foliage, I'm going to run through the scatter system where much more options are allowing us to have actual green stuff on those assets. But I'm just showing you that you have this here as well if you need. They're just more optimized. And here is what we have. The material looks like a bit of marshmallow right now, unlike the bake assets. Let me see what the materials for the procedures offer us. Oh, we have 3 materials here. Like, if I decide to experiment with this one, the yellow color, in order to visualize it, you need to load it in here. Well, it's pretty much the same. And you can always tweak it from here. And so what I do once I've decided that's the shape to follow, that I like this shape. Well, let me tweak it just a little bit more. Like changing some more varieties. Well, it indeed starts looking more Goro type of shape, where, as you can see, the ones I previously decided to end up my library look much more linear and not that organic like those here. And a bunch of ideas start to come up right away, where I can throw even more procedures to the material, more green, more foliage, and I could easily end up with pretty decent quality of asset for the reef system. That is even better from the one that I already baked. So what's my point is that I'd like to encourage you to play more with the preferences, experiment yourself and see what fits best for you. Again, you can bake this asset and it's in relatively decent amount of polygons. You could easily add more detail by sculpting, brush out what's not necessary, retopologize, either bake the high poly to the low poly or work with what you already have, and you're gonna have completely different biome, but still working with the same original parametric tool. And that's the beauty and the power of parametrics and procedures in those workflows, that you can have a lot of variety. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.